This class is an introduction to the Denari segmenters. It is important that you have an understanding of the basics of Denari prior to participating in this class. Denari offers a wide range of reports and report types. They are found in 4 categories. The first is called Quick Reports, and they are the easiest to use. They're found under the Reports button at the top of the Denari page. The Quick Reports have the filters built into them and simply require a click to run. The second category is called Basic Reports. The majority of these are found on the Gifts page, but there are others scattered throughout Denari. They offer some filtering ability and some variation of output. If these 2 categories of reports meet your needs, then you need go no further. However, it is often necessary to apply more detailed filtering with a wider variety of outputs, and that's where the segmenting tools, the third category of reports in Denari, come into best use. They offer a greater ability to apply filters to get just the data you want, coupled with a wide variety of output options. The 3 main ones are Name Segmenter, Gift Segmenter, and Pledge Segmenter. There are others that are specific to other add-on modules as well. The fourth category of reports, called Reporting Tools, really work in conjunction with the segmenters. We'll be covering both the segmenters and their reporting tools in the classes ahead. Before you begin, there are 3 questions you must ask. 1, what filters do I need? 2, what information do I need in the output? And 3, what format do I want for my report? Question 1, what filters do I need? A filter is something that you can use to select only certain data. For example, we might want to get all the names in our data that have a specific zip code. The zip code becomes a filter that we can apply against all of our names that allows us to reach in and pull out only the ones that match the criteria of the filter, in this case, the name records with a specific zip code. So the first task is to decide which filters are important to the information I need from my data. Question 2, what information do I need in the output? Don't confuse output with filters. Just because I use zip code as a filter doesn't mean that I necessarily want the zip code in the output. For example, I may want a list of gifts donated by anyone in a specific zip code. I don't need to see that zip code in the output. I just need to see the names and how much was donated. The elements in the output can be completely different from the filter criteria, so you will need to decide specifically what information you want in the output. Question 3, what format do I want for my report? Do I want it in Excel, a PDF file, comma-separated values, etc.? The answers to these 3 questions will help you decide which tool to use in Denari to get the information you need. And by the way, if you need to contact tech support for help with your report, it will speed things up if you've answered these 3 questions ahead of time. There are 3 rules that really apply to all of the reports throughout Denari, but especially to segmenters. Each segmenter filters on its own characteristics. Name segmenter outputs name characteristics, gift segmenter outputs gift characteristics, and pledge characteristics. And finally, the third rule, no filters are required. Rule number 1, name segmenter filters on name characteristics, gift segmenter on gift characteristics, and pledge segmenter on pledge characteristics. So what do we mean by characteristic? A characteristic describes something. Zip code is one of the describing characteristics of a name record. It tells us something about that name record. A fund code tells us about a gift. The gift is associated with a specific fund. A fund does not tell us about a name record. Primarily, you can look at a name record in Denari, and the fields you find there are some of the ones you will find as filters in Name Segmenter. You can look at a gift record, and the fields you find there can be found as filters in Gift Segmenter, and the same for pledges. So rule number 1 says that you will only find name characteristics as filter options in Name Segmenter. That means if I want a list of people who gave to a specific fund code, I know that I will not find fund code as an option in Name Segmenter. The fact that I need to use a fund code as a filter means that I have to at least start with a gift segment. Of course, this assumes that one of the standard reports found on the Gifts tab won't work for me, so I need to use a gift segment. Rule 2, name segmenter outputs name characteristics, gift segmenter outputs gift characteristics, and pledges pledge characteristics. That simply means that if I want to get a list of gifts donated by anyone in a specific zip code, I won't get them in the output from Name Segmenter. There are ways to use segments as filters for other reports, so it is possible to get that information, just not from name segmenter itself. We'll be talking about how to use the segments to get this kind of information in later sessions. But to help set the stage, it is helpful to remember that Rule 2 says that each segment outputs only its own set of characteristics. You will only find name characteristics in name segment outputs, for example. Rule 3, no filters are required. This is true of all reports in Denari. If you put in no filters, you get everything. So for example, if we create a name segment, give it a description and a segment code, select our output, and run the segment, we will get all of our names. If we go to GIF segmenter and do the same, we will get all of our GIFs. This is really an important rule to remember because it means that we only use the filters that we need. With name segmenter, for example, we start with a big pot of names. We reach into that pot using the filters we want to pull out only the names we want. If we want all the names in a specific zip code, that's the filter we will use, and that's all we need. If we want all the names in a zip code that have a specific classification, then we will select those two filters, but no more. The last topic we will cover in this session is operators. There are several operators found in the segments, but we will only discuss and or for now. We'll cover the others as we go through each segmenter. An operator tells Denari how to work with a filter. All of the filters in all of the segmenters have an AND operator between them, with an exception in name segmenter, which we'll talk about in part 1 of the name segmenter class. The AND operator simply means that each filter selected must be true to show up in the output. For example, if we want a list of names with a specific zip code and a specific classification, we will select those two filters in name segmenter. They automatically have an AND operator between them, which means that in order for a name record to be selected from our pot of names, they must have that zip code and that classification. By contrast, an OR operator means that in order for a name record to be selected from our pot of names, they can have either the zip code or the classification. I don't want to confuse you here. There's no option for an OR operator in name segmenter, as I described, but it's helpful to understand how they work. Gift and pledge segmenter are the same. They automatically have AND operators between each filter we select. Most of the time, the more filters you use in a segment, the fewer names will appear in the output because more has to be true about those names. This concludes the introduction to segmenters. This class sets the stage to understand how segments work. In Name Segmenter Part 1 class, we will begin a hands-on look at how to use